Good morning, guys. It's Thursday, almost, and it's time for a tip talk. And so, we've been talking about our genre because we have this genre challenge going on, and we want you to know what different types of books live in our library. And inside every genre, there's lots of different types of books. So today we are exploring classics. Okay? Classics are what you might think of, things that are old, but that's not always what a classic is. So we have some books that are more recent classics, I like to call them. This Flowers in the Attic series. V.C. Andrews has also written Ruby, which is about to be a Lifetime maybe mini-series. These are things that are old. Don't get me wrong, they probably came out when I was a kid, so old. But also not really vintage. We do have those books that you might read in English class, like The Outsiders, or If Beale Street Could Talk. These are what you might think of as true classics. They also live in classics. And then we have books that you might read about in other books. So Jane Eyre. If you've read a romance, someone's probably referenced Jane Eyre. Bronte, Jane Austen. And these types of authors, they get talked about in other books because they're so classic, live in the classic section in our library. Imagine that.
Right. Often authors will come out and basically remake that story with an updated flair. Lots and lots of movies are based on or reference classic literature as well.
I mean, honestly, all four of these that I just showed you have been made into movies. Every single last one of them.
Because they're just good stories that still resonate today. Yeah. We also have quite a lot of story collections in the classics section. So if you want just a little taste of something, then that's a good place to look. Now, if you are currently taking an AP Literature, AP Language class, or Comp 1, Comp 2, or you plan to take these classes in the future, then we strongly encourage you to visit the classics section and go ahead and start reading some of these things on your own, because you're going to talk about some of these works in class, and some of them are kind of a little bit heavier than others. The language is a little bit older, so it might take maybe a little bit more work on your brain to actually get into them. But the more you practice that, the easier it's going to get. If you need to work on your ACT English section or reading section, these are good books to help you prepare for that.
And they could also be just really good stories.
Right.
Like, this is a tragic story about a girl and her siblings and how their mother abandons them in an attic. You guys, I'm sure you've heard about The Outsiders.
Right.
It's about a group of opposing gangs.
It's a lot of people's favorite book.
It was written by a teenager, so it's not hard to read. It is not a classic that is super wordy, and the sentence structure isn't crazy. So there are good stories over in classics. It's because they're classics doesn't make them boring or hard to read.
Right. I was not at all implying that,
No, she was not.
because they're old or they're, quote unquote difficult or whatever, that they're not interesting.
Right.
Definitely not that.
I mean, If Beale Street Could Talk was literally just made into a movie this year.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, so if you haven't visited the classics section because you thought maybe everything over here was musty and gross and you weren't gonna like it, then come over here and check stuff out. If you don't know what to look for over here, you can talk to us. We'd be happy to help. Also, if you go to our catalog through the school website, just library search, there is a resource list called AP Representative Authors for both literature and language, so you can see what do we have that might actually be referenced in your class or on the AP test for those classes.
Right. So we got you covered in classics. Come check them out, guys.
All right.